What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey! And it's our favorite week of the year this side of Christmas. It is Comic-Con week here on the Geek Buddies. These two gentlemen heading down to my neck of the woods to enjoy themselves and regale themselves of the nerddom and geekdom. And we're excited to talk about a little bit of that, but also we're going to get in some big news for DC, some Kevin Feige news, some updates on Marvel, a little bit of retconning, and we're going to get into a big trailer that dropped this week as well. We're going to have a lot of fun on the show in our pre-Comic-Con show here as we celebrate all things geekdom. Let's introduce ourselves for those who might be new. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies, and I just moved this bookshelf behind me, so I'm very strong.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor. And when the three of us first came on the camera, that was exactly where my eyes went to that blank wall in Vogel's bedroom.
The whole room is blank. They're coming tomorrow. As I leave for Comic-Con, they're coming in here to paint my bedroom.
Oh, nice.
So I have to get everything out. I've cleaned out the closet. All the geek stuff is gone. The books are gone. Everything is in the other room right now.
Okay.
And I'm sitting here. If you could see me, I'm sitting in an almost empty room except for my bed and this computer. It's very it's barren. It's barren in here.
Spartan. Real Spartan.
Spartan, you might say.
Okay, there we go. And is that a particular color, or are they just going to repaint it white?
No, it's going to repaint it white. It's just, I've been here a while. They're going to redo it. So they've already done the other room.
Gotcha.
I think I said this before. There's going to be a whole new, this is going to be the bedroom. The desk is going to move to the other room. And I always get jealous of the Outlaws geek paraphernalia that floats around behind him. So I'm going to have to step it up a little bit in this other room. We'll see.
So is the office going to be painted asylum white as well, or is it just the bedroom?
Okay, first of all, I like asylum white. It's calming.
Oh boy. Anyway, all right. So there you go. That's what's going on. But also, this week it's Comic-Con week. So let's get into that. Gentlemen, what do you have planned for this week? What are you looking forward to seeing this week? What are you excited about? I don't have a badge this year, so I'm going to come down and hang out with you guys for a dinner and then see Fantastic Four together on Friday. But other than that, I don't anticipate going into the halls or into the floor. What are you guys looking forward to?
Look, this is my annual recharge every single year. Life is hard. Life is tough. Careers can be challenging, but these 4 days that I get to spend with my fellas at Comic-Con, I mean, these gas me up for the year. I mean, Kalinowski and I always go to WonderCon for like a day, and that's a nice little warm up. It's a small con, but just watching the fans, watching the crowds, people showing up in their cosplay. I mean, that always just warms my heart. And just a few days that are just kind of dedicated to hanging out and enjoying the things that we love. I mean, in terms of panels, the thing that I'm most curious about is Peacemaker season 2, because it was reported like all these studios, they're skipping this year. There's still a lot of stuff that's coming, and I will be very interested to see, like, James Gunn, he gonna talk about something. Like, it's not just gonna be Peacemaker. Are we gonna see clips of anything? Probably not, but I bet he's gonna talk about something.
No, James Gunn is really good at just sort of keeping a low profile, not saying more than he needs to. I think he's going to be very reserved on stage. He probably, like, James Gunn spouting off at the mouth, like, that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy. It's almost like what he's going to run his own podcast about his own show. He would never do that. That while he's running an entire whole studio, he would never do that. Oh, well, maybe he would. You think he's actually going to be there, Shannon? I think it's going to be a video introduction, and then everyone else is going to take over. Do you think he's actually going to be there?
I thought he was supposed to be there. I might be incorrect. But if he is there, as historically, yes, he does go off script. So
I do think if he does send a video, maybe the first half of the video will be him thanking fans for Superman, but then the second half of the video will be him telling everybody to kill each other and rape the women. So like
the Jor-El video?
A little bit of both.
Jim, what would Gunn L? Gunn L, is that what it would be?
Gunn L.
What about you, Mike?
By the way, I wouldn't put it past James Gunn to add a Kryptonian called Gunn L somewhere in there.
What about you, Mike? What are you looking forward to? Is there any panels? Any of your friends hosting panels? Any things you want to see there, like animation?
I am on a panel on Sunday. I am on a Greg Weisman and Friends panel where Greg Weisman is doing a panel with his friends, and I am one of them. So I will be on that panel. I'm sure we'll talk about Spectacular Spider-Man. I'll make him talk about Gargoyles. We'll talk about Young Justice. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun on Sunday. But other than that, the Peacemaker season 2 panel is something I want to see. And I don't really know what else panel wise, like much like Shannon, I just am excited to go down. My management company, Gotham, does a big party. So I get to see a bunch of animation writers that I don't see. We have a friend of ours who's a writer who has a birthday party. We're all going to see Fantastic Four together. Nice. So it's kind of like going down and just embracing 4 days where everyone is as geeky as you are is fun. And then we cap it all off with the EW party. So it's going to be a nice little weekend.
Yeah. Good. That's good. It sounds like a lot of fun. I will, of course, as I said, be on the periphery on all of this, but I look forward to the stories. And I'm sure as we do every year, we're going to have a nice little Geek Buddies show recapping everything that you guys experienced there at Comic-Con and everything that dropped, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things that drop. And I'll be covering it from here in my cozy little house, just a few minutes away from all the action. All right, well, there you go. So look forward for all that. And I'm sure you guys will be tweeting stuff and posting videos possibly. So make sure you guys follow them on social media to see their interpretations of everything. And Kalinowski as well, who will be sharing a bed with you gentlemen throughout this whole process. So it'll be a lot of fun.
My favorite man to sleep with every year.
And his thoughts. Diet Coke King, Mike Kalinowski for sure. But let's move on to some. We just talked about James Gunn, so let's move on to James Gunn. Let's talk about this stuff. James Gunn over the weekend had did about a 52-minute interview here with Happy, Sad, Confused. Then was interviewed by Rolling Stone, which seems to be his favorite magazine nowadays, to talk about the Superman spoiler stuff. And he had a lot of interesting comments throughout all this stuff, Mikey. He talked about how the Henry Cavill situation, I felt terrible about how all that went down, and he kind of took a mini pot shot at The Rock, but not really. It's more of a commentary with all the mess that was going on with WB at the time. I didn't know how Jean Sarah was involved in all this, but clearly it was all there as well. He also talked about the stuff with Henry Cavill wanting to bring him back to the MCU. He talked about Wonder Woman saying, we're not fast tracking it. It's a priority. But then again, 2 days later, the Wonder Woman writer was announced, which we'll talk about. He also hesitated with answering the Alan Ritchson question. Should he come back or should he come into the DC to play his brave and the bold Batman, which was interesting. And then on the Rolling Stone interview, he talked about Superman, the success of Superman, and said that Jor-El, that's the message from Jor-El. There is no questioning it. But then also said that he felt that the film isn't doing well internationally because of some anti-American sentiment. So what do you think about all the stuff you had to say here, Michael? What stood out to you? What really kind of caught your attention and things you said?
I mean, what stood out to me is apparently James Gunn is going to continue to talk.
Well, yes.
Becoming the head of DC Studios did not quench his desire to speak his mind on social media or in interviews. So as opposed to Kevin, like I think the difference, and it's actually funny that we're talking about both this week, when Kevin Feige does an interview like he did this week, which we're going to talk about, and kind of lays a bunch of things out, that's like, oh, that's a lot of news. Kevin Feige doesn't usually sit down and say so many things. What we'll talk about, what we think about what he said, but he said a lot of stuff. James Gunn doing it, you're like, oh, okay, it must be a day that ends in Y, because here comes James Gunn. I think, let's see. I think the whole Jor-El and Lara's message being 100% that is true. I mean, as a screenwriter, he could not have made it any more clear that he was making that thing true. Like, that is a cornerstone of the Superman story that he wanted to tell, that Superman thought he was being a hero for one reason and ended up being a hero for another reason. That's the movie. So it doesn't surprise me that he's like, no, that's true. What I do think is interesting, and I saw this, and I don't know if this was part of the interview or not. I saw it on Twitter, and I forgot to go check. That did somebody ask him about, well, why didn't Kal-El ask Supergirl about the Kryptonian message or something?
Yes.
Or what? And he's like, and he said she didn't. He said, well, he didn't ask. And I do find it. Not that he wouldn't have asked right away when we saw her at the end of the movie.
Right.
But I don't know how long these two have known each other, but they've known each other long enough that she's like, watch my dog, bitch.
Right.
At some point, I'm thinking he'd be like, hey, what was Krypton really like? And if this is where we're going with Krypton, it seems like she would have to. So I do think when we get into her family and her parents next year, I am going to be really interested in how the rest of Krypton is portrayed. So that is something I'm kind of putting there. I'm curious to see how all that goes.
Let me add something to what you just said. Here's the exchange on Rolling Stone. He was asked about why Supergirl didn't tell Superman about his parents. And James Gunn says, you're assuming that everybody on Krypton is the same. And how would she know? She's younger than him, so she wouldn't know. She wouldn't know anything about his parents. What? People don't talk? And your family? It seems odd. But yes.
I will say that my dad, I am in my 40s, and my dad just told me some stuff about his brother recently that I was like, no shit. Uncle Bob?
Uncle Bob trying to take over a planet and sleep with a bunch of women and rule over it. I mean, that's a big deal to leave out.
Well,
big detail.
You don't know that Jor-El thought. It's not like Jor-El hasn't. Okay, we're getting off track, but I am going to say this. Yeah. We don't have a ton to talk about today. We're fine. It's Comic-Con. Let's geek out. Jor-El, there's no indication that Jor-El's entire life he was a megalomaniac that was like, let's go fuck some women and take over. At the end of Krypton's existence, he sent his son to a planet of, in his mind, Neanderthals.
Yes.
And was like, hey, you should spread Krypton's genes and make more Kryptonians. It's not the craziest thought to have.
Well, yes. And the bones are there in the previous iterations of Superman, right? Like we're doing the Cinephiles breakdown of Superman. Michael is our guest, and we just finished talking about Brando as Jor-El, saying like they're a primitive culture or they're behind, you know. So and even Russell said that in Man of Steel. So you have that heritage, and of course we've seen it animated and we've seen it on the TV show that you've seen. Like they clearly understand Earthlings are not as amazing as Kryptonians. So
and look,
yeah.
We said this when we reviewed the movie. I don't have a problem with this choice. I get that a lot of people, it really bothers them. And I sympathize with that as someone who has had issues with Zack Snyder's choices with Jonathan Kent. Like there's like, as someone who has lived with this drives me crazy for several years, the fact that other people are having this drives me crazy, I sympathize, but I am curious to see where that goes. I thought the stuff about The Rock and Henry Cavill coming back in for that post-credits sequence and James Gunn then having to be like, hey, I know you came back for this post-credits sequence, but this isn't. That's actually the most fascinating because while he was absolutely giving the PC PR approved version of that story, that's still a crazy story. Like him being like, I felt really bad. Like the confluence of events, even though I am sure that all parties were not as calm and on the up and up and understanding about it. You know, him be like, Henry was a total gentleman about it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson couldn't have been nicer. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people were pissed off about how this whole, but like even the whole concept of how that all went down and kind of hearing it from him, that was really interesting. The Wonder Woman thing, we said this the other week when we were talking about it. Like, he's like, it's not fast tracked. It's a priority. Like, okay, potato. Like, they clearly, the second that David Zaslav came out a couple months ago and said Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are the pillars of what we're building, and there was no Wonder Woman movie. And all of a sudden, after over a year of no talk of a Wonder Woman movie, we're now all talking about a Wonder Woman movie, and we have a screenwriter for a Wonder Woman movie. Despite James Gunn's whole, we don't start until we've got the script, and that's how we're doing things. This is clearly a script that they are trying to get done as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think what else there was. I was like, those were the big ones that stuck out to me.
Yeah. Well, what about the Alan Ritchson thing, Batman? Do you buy that he might, because the person seemed to say, like, the coverage I was seeing seemed to say like he hesitated on the answer, and you watch it, he does hesitate. He seems to be saying something like he's careful about how he responds to it now, as opposed to before. It's like, well, yeah, it'd be fun, sure, why not? Now he's a little more careful on the response. Is it a possibility that they're looking at Richardson for a Brave and the Bold Batman, not the Dark Knight Returns or the Robert Pattinson Batman? This would be a slightly lighter Batman with Brave and the Bold. So could Richardson be the answer?
Maybe. Honestly, like, I'm so not, when it comes to all of the conjecture, the who gets cast in it is usually the last thing that I care about, because it's always such a cry. It could be absolutely anybody. I'm way more interested in his whole playing coy around this movie that he's writing that Superman is a big part of, but it's not Batman and Superman team up. Like, what? Like, that's way more interesting to me, of like, what are you planning? Like, what is it? What is it you've got up your sleeve here? It's not a sequel to Superman, but it is a movie that Superman plays a major part in. That's, what do you guys think that is?
Justice League International? I don't know. I mean, that would be my guess. And because you've essentially set the bones up in Superman, what do you think, Shannon?
I mean, in terms of one of the many projects that he's supposed to be writing, I have no idea. I mean, the idea that they have kind of said that Justice League isn't happening like next. Like, there are things that they have to
right.
Yeah, there are things they have to establish before they do that, because I think, the first iteration of the DC cinematic universe learned some lessons. So what Superman is going to pop up in, who knows? I mean, will he pop up? Will he make an appearance in Supergirl? Probably, in some sort of limited capacity, the way she popped up in his movie. After that, I mean, it's anybody's guess. I mean, the podcast with the Happy Sad Confused podcast, the actual audio, I mean, it's fascinating. Like, I know we make fun about James Gunn, maybe talking too much. He's an entertaining interview. I mean, it is a very good episode of that podcast. To the Alan Ritchson thing, I don't watched it, so I'm like, I don't think he hesitated. I don't think there is any reality that Jack Reacher is going to be Batman. I love Alan Ritchson as Reacher. I think that's the best work he's ever done, and I think there are certain dramatic limitations that Alan Ritchson has, and that's why Reacher is such a good fit for him. Reacher is a very uncomplicated character. So whenever he has to go into exposition, I'm like, okay, this is memorization and reciting lines. Whenever he's beating the crap out of somebody, that is a lot of fun. Do we want to have fun watching Batman beat the crap out of somebody? Yes. We also want to have fun watching Batman figure things out. I don't really get that from Alan Ritchson. Again, I am happy to be proven.
He doesn't have that, what do you call it? Smart.
He's supercilious.
I like to make clear, as my two compatriots are saying this, not me. Mr. Ritchson, you are incredibly intelligent. Please don't turn me into a pretzel. So,
And again, like, I've seen interviews with him. Like, he's a very charming guy. Like, I don't think it always translates to what he has played in the past. And again, maybe he's got that gear and we just haven't seen it. I just don't feel like that. I don't feel like that's the direction they're going. My guess is whoever's going to don the cape and cowl is someone that has not even been mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
To Johnny's Justice League International point, I don't think it's going to be Justice League International.
Okay.
But that being said, I think Justice Gang basically is standing in for Justice League International.
100%.
Like what they're not clearly, but what it seems like they're doing, you have the end of the movie where that one guy at the Pentagon looks to Rick Flag and he's like, well, I hope you're happy because now these metahumans are running everything. One of the big things that's a constant in even the Justice League cartoon, in the comic books, is like, as soon as you have every superpowered hero on the planet in a watchtower satellite that hovers the earth, you're kind of like, you don't answer to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, and that's Lex Luthor kind of cashes in on that. Other characters have cashed in on that. So I could see a world where we're building to the point where all of these heroes, once Batman is around and Wonder Woman shows up, that they're like, we're going to form a league for a big reason. I mean, that just seems like, and that's what Zack Snyder did, but that's like, it's a no-brainer. It's the same as we need Avengers. Like the world needs the Justice League. But I do think there's a interesting possibility that I hadn't thought of, which is, look, James Gunn made up the Justice Gang. And we've got Mr. Terrific, and we've got Guy Gardner, and we've got Hawkgirl, and we know we have Maxwell Lord. And the idea, and Metamorpho is now ostensibly a part of that team.
Right.
And the idea that you do a movie where Maxwell Lord kind of, maybe you add in a few new heroes, and he's trying to build his Justice Gang to be even bigger over at the Hall of Justice. And either Superman is a part of that or not a part of that, but Superman is a bigger part of that story as things are going on. That actually is, I think, a pretty strong possibility.
Yeah.
Because I think James Gunn, like most writers, once he writes characters, he's like, I want to write more of these characters. So he might be doing something totally different, but I would love it, because I think one of my big issues with Superman is Hawkgirl dropping the president of Baravia, and nobody having an issue with that. And I'm like, you did just kill an international leader. Like that is, and I would love to see that piece of that story get picked up. So I think that's not a bad idea.
Okay. Well, what did you think, Shannon, about the other stuff he had to say about Henry Cavill? And because I said this when I did my episode over the weekend of The Truth, when this stuff kind of dropped, I looked at it, I was like, essentially, Zaslav was playing both sides of the fence in all sides of the fence in all this. Because he's like, yeah, I'll sign you the deal here. But there's no way he didn't know that Abdi and DeLuca had approved Cavill coming in to be Superman, so that Cavill could record a video of it. They announced it literally the next day. So it seems like Zaslav or WB, whoever was in charge of WB, I think it was Zaslav at the time, was saying like, okay, we're gonna see what works. Because I mean, if Black Adam had come up in a success, Shazam 2 was a success, The Flash was a success, you essentially have the public telling you, we want to keep this universe. So would James Gunn have stayed doing his universe as the main universe, and then someone else, Abdi and DeLuca, possibly finding directors to take charge of the Snyder characters? That just would not have worked. So it's a fascinating thing. What do you think of the stuff he had to say about this?
If that had happened in this alternate universe where Black Adam comes out and is great, and Shazam, Fury of the Gods ends up being a huge hit, then James Gunn's universe would have gone forward with certain directives that you have to use these characters.
Yeah.
Like, again,
he would not have he would not have done that.
Probably not. I don't know if he wouldn't have done it. I don't think he would have been at the position, like, if you want this job, this is what you have to do.
Right.
Because again, he still does have a boss that he has to answer to. But I think, James Gunn was towing the company line with The Flash. I mean, saying this is the best comic book movie ever made. And I will not say everyone didn't agree with him, but I would say the majority of the audience did not agree with him, hence the box office receipts. As to the Henry Cavill part, man, that sucks, because the levels, because James Gunn even said it, like the day that his deal was done, that's when that announcement video came out that Cavill was coming back as Superman.
Yeah.
And he was like, you are literally making me be bad cop right now. Like, I have to come in and deliver this news. And that was something else that they touched on the podcast, is that he and Peter Safran actually sat down in person with Cavill. And again, I think everyone is putting on their best PR faces, but it was probably a bit of a emotional conversation. I mean, not so much like you're tearing this role away from me, but I look like a jackass. Like, I made this video. Now this is embarrassing. Like, I got egg on my face right now. But again, the levels that those conversations were happening, they were above Henry Cavill's representation, and they were above James Gunn and Peter Safran at that time. So the lack of communication that was happening, probably at the behest of the people that are in charge, that sucks. But ultimately, the idea that James Gunn did leave the door open, at least in the interview, he's like, could Cavill come in and play in this universe? Absolutely. We've had broad discussions about that.
Go ahead.
I also think that two things. One, at those higher levels, them getting Henry Cavill, the nicest thing to say would be that they were playing both sides.
Okay.
The nicest thing to say would be that they were like, if this really works, maybe we'll do this, but maybe we'll do this. The more cynical part of me is like, they were signing James Gunn's deal and they knew they were going to let him do whatever he wanted to do. And they did the Henry Cavill thing and let him think whatever he was going to think. And they did it solely to try and drive Black Adam's box office up.
Yeah.
Like they had and again, maybe I'm wrong, but like they had no intention of doing it. They had already told James Gunn he gets to do what he wants to do.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They put Henry Cavill in there, let everybody think. And this, I do feel bad for Snyder fans, but Snyder fans drive me crazy, as we have not been shy about me saying, but it does suck when you love something and then you're thrown a bone and you get excited about the potential of that and it is immediately taken away.
Yeah. Twice. Yeah.
So it does suck. But I think the whole thing is fucked up. And I don't think it's fucked up on James Gunn's part. And I don't think it's The Rock's fault. Like, The Rock did plenty of bullshit that we can throw at his feet around Black Adam. I don't think this is one of those things. But I do think at that higher level, the whole thing was a fucking mess.
I agree.
And like the whole DC, but like to Shannon's point, James Gunn saying The Flash was the best thing ever. And then us being like, well, who is he putting in as Batman at the end? And he did they did all these reshoots, and maybe they did these reshoots because that's going to tie into how he's going to bring it. And then they're going to bring certain people over. Like, I think they kind of fucked with the fan base throughout all of this. Yeah. And I think they were fucking with those actors. Like, I think they fucked with Gal Gadot. I think they fucked. Momoa got the best end of it because he gets to go be Lobo, but I think they fucked. I think the whole transition, and we're seeing the results of that with all of the discourse around Man of Steel versus Superman, but the whole transition was handled about as horribly as you could handle it.
Yeah. Which speaks to the dysfunction that has been going on there for a long time. And I think what you are alluding to, if I can just put a pin in this, highlight this, what you said here, Michael, is like, they don't see these characters as precious as the fans do. They were like, no, Cavill, come on back and play Superman because we want to make more money off this Black Adam thing because it might just be a lame duck, but we want to get as much money out of the lame duck as possible. And then, of course, I'm kind of blowing up in their face. So, when fans are like, oh, no, these characters are amazing, you kind of, a little bit, Michael, you were veering into the Snyder Bros territory a little bit. That we can find, there is common ground you can find with them in that way because you understand where their anger is coming from. You don't necessarily condone the actions, some of the toxic shit, some of the vile stuff they've done, some of the death threats they've thrown out at certain people. That's not defensible.
That is quite a list that you just threw out there, sir.
Because it's been happening. I've seen it from fellow people in the space. And so you see that, but like the anger you can understand because yes, they did fumble the ball here. And I think James was highlighting that very strongly.
Well, and I do think I think the whole Batman thing is a little bit of a continuation of that.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Like the will they, won't they, what are they? Now although James Gunn has been very clear that we are not doing this, even though the whole world is like, maybe, like he's being really clear about it, but and he's said that they're not going to release their Batman movie the same year that the Batman 2 comes out, and it'll be separated. And so he's saying all the right things. And if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. But the whole thing still does feel a little wonky.
Well, what do you think? Let's move on to this conversation. Shannon, because Michael started us off with the James. What are your thoughts on this, Shannon, on the box office now? Superman's at $400-something million worldwide. Fantastic Four is about to come out getting fantastic reviews. So it'll definitely affect the box office for Superman, and Jurassic World still stomping through the box office inexplicably.
Amazingly.
Confoundingly, I would say. But like, this is an interesting situation because Grace Randolph was getting some crap today because she said, what was the point of doing all of this if the film is going to perform less than Man of Steel? And of course, everyone's doing mental gymnastics about adjusted grosses and, Nolan gave it a ramp up and, this 2025 is not 2013. But at the end of the day, if this thing does top out at 550, goodwill is great. But if a lot of people didn't go see it to push it to 7 or 8, did you really do the goodwill thing? So what do you think about the box office numbers where it stands now? And what do you think about the conversation around the ultimate number it could land at to signify a success for the film?
I mean, in terms of where it's going to land, I have no idea. Like, I'm not a statistician. I'm not great with numbers. But I will say, comparing it to like, oh, well, why did you do this if this one didn't perform? It's not just about this one film. It's about everything that is going to come after it. And do they want this movie to do as well financially as it possibly can? Of course. Because ultimately you've made a significant investment. You want to see some return on that investment, but you're not just investing in the one movie. You're investing in the universe. Like they are trying to take a page out of the Marvel playbook, and that you have a singular creative person calling the shots, which, I mean, that's not exactly how the MCU started out. I mean, Kevin Feige didn't get to his position until he was like in phase 2, I think. But going forward, like, let's try this singular vision, because there is a lot of money that we're leaving on the table by having sort of this one movie's this, one movie's this one kind of relates. Like, let's give this a try and see what works. Now, I think, 2 years down the line, we'll see how Superman performs on streaming. We'll see. I mean, I'm not that many people buy Blu-rays anymore or DVDs. I mean, I do. But
we'll see how the Superman LP does. Like, what are you talking about?
Superman VHS. That's where it's at.
Superman Beta.
Betamax. So I think that's more where it comes in. Like, I understand the short game of thinking like, boy, what if this doesn't do better than Man of Steel? It's like, okay, that would suck. But also we're not stopping our thinking with one entry. We are thinking many entries down the road, this 10-year plan.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, I can see where Grace is coming from. And certainly I had my feelings that it should have got to 700. To me, if it's a success at 700, and there's nothing you can say about that. But I think it's fascinating, though, that some people are celebrating the possibility of 550 like it's $1 billion, and it isn't. So I always find this to be like there's somewhere in the middle where we can say, okay, we were hoping it could do better, but it did what we felt it needed to do. Now we'll see what the box office returns are on Supergirl, on Clayface, and then we'll see where we go from there. But Michael, what do you think about this?
I think this is the stupidest discussion in the entire world. And every time Grace Randolph...
All right, we can move on. I'm sorry.
No. I have a point. Why it's like, here's why I think it's, first of all, you can roll back to multiple episodes of Geek Buddies leading up to the launch of Superman, where I talked about this, where I said the worst thing that could happen is them making a massive decision based off of one movie. Like, if Superman makes $1 billion, great, everyone's happy. But if Superman doesn't perform and they're like, oh, fuck, we're not doing this universe, that would be a bad decision. Part of what works in Hollywood is you stick with a plan. Like, people who stick with a plan through and through, like, ultimately, like, you can fix things on the way, you can make adjustments, you can do whatever. And this whole concept of, look, I want Superman to make 700. I wanted it to make $1 billion. But, and like, basically people are looking for bragging rights. Like, this whole idea of like, well, it stomped Man of Steel, or Man of Steel made so much more than Superman. But this is a made up social media thing. That's not how studios work. To Shannon's point, there's a massive amount of decisions going into this.
Yeah.
And looking at the reviews, looking at the cinema score, looking at the DC things that are going up massive percentages as people are coming back to it on HBO Max, all things point towards people re-engaging with DC in a way that they were not before. So this whole concept of it's all about the numbers, we adjusted for inflation, Man of Steel made this much, if Superman doesn't do this much, it's a failure. The Batman 2 made this much, maybe Matt Reeves should take over the universe. You know what? Just because you're a good director doesn't mean that you can be an executive to run a universe. Like, this whole discussion that is fully based on, well, if it does this, that means whatever, is not what actually happens. And the best example of this, it's a TV example, but it is the best example I can think of, is the first season of Seinfeld was a fucking disaster ratings-wise.
Yes, true.
Nobody watched Seinfeld. So by the rules of engagement on Twitter today, Seinfeld should have been canceled, and we never should have seen it again. And it went on to become one of the most beloved, popular, and successful financially and popularity-wise shows of all time. So this whole thing of, well, if now I think it's a failure and they have to do this. Like, they don't have to do anything. Studios get to make whatever decision they want, and all signs point to the fact that they're feeling good enough that they're going to continue with this. And that's kind of the end of the story.
Well, it's interesting when you put that, everything you've said, through the prism of the Snyderverse, in that people who are on the Snyder side felt like Zack wasn't allowed to do his vision even after Man of Steel, because the studio at the time felt that the returns were not as strong as they were hoping for the movie. So they forced him to put Batman in there, and he claims that it was a plan all along. But like, no, they forced him to do it, and so he wasn't allowed to see his vision. So I think I take your point. I think you're right. You got to see things out sometimes. But clearly in this situation, James Gunn as a creator has a much stronger support system than maybe Snyder had at the time, because there was a lot of knee-jerk reactions from WB to the situation. So I mean,
that's actually the perfect way to put it, Johnny. Is the first attempt at this? Everything was reactive versus proactive.
Right.
And so
I
think
Marvel
that's
was breathing down their necks, which is now it's a little more even in terms of where they're at, so to speak. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Mike. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, when Man of Steel came out in 2013, Avengers came out in 2012. I mean, Marvel was destroying them. They like what Dark Knight Rises came out 2012.
Yeah, I think
right.
So, yeah.
So I think they saw the amount of money that the idea of a cinematic universe could make. Now, I don't know if this is true, but like Man of Steel wasn't necessarily supposed to be the beginning of a cinematic universe. It was like, make a Superman movie. Like, you know what? Maybe this can be our launch pad, but not having that, I mean, I do agree that should he have been able to finish his vision, maybe it would have been a more coherent story. That's possible. Would it have produced results? Who knows?
Again, there's a lot of things that you just don't know because you don't know what happens behind closed doors, but I don't think that the Zack Snyder decision was made solely based on financial returns. I think a big thing that happened when you read between the lines of everything that happened between Man of Steel into Batman versus Superman into Justice League was Man of Steel came out. They're like, okay, well, let's put Batman in the next one. Let's make it really big because we want to catch up to Avengers. Zack Snyder is always and make it a little lighter. Like, we want to make sure this is a 4-quadrant film. Like Avengers movies, you've got kids wearing fucking Incredible Hulk sandals and buying toys, and this is a little dark. And then he made Batman versus Superman, and they were like, fuck, man, like, you doubled down. And so then Justice League happened, and yes, the whole thing was a mess, like what happened with his family. But when Joss Whedon came in, even though I don't think Joss Whedon did a great job, he was clearly told, make it funnier.
100%.
Like, that is what he was told. And then when you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is, as much as I am not a Zack Snyder fan, 1,000 times better than Joss Whedon's Justice League, clearly.
Yeah.
It's still like there's like Zack Snyder makes a very specific type of film for a very specific type of audience. Yes. Zack Snyder is not making 4-quadrant films that families want to take their kids to. Yeah. And when you are launching a superhero universe that is supposed to be a giant, massive moneymaker for your company, consumer products and theme park attractions and video games and ancillary things like that are supposed to be a part of it. So James Gunn is definitely doing his own thing, but absolutely when he was having those meetings, part of this whole decision to go Silver Age and silly and fun is because they want something that the entire family can enjoy. And that's what Marvel does, for better or for worse. People don't always love it with Marvel either, but that's a big piece of it that is not just in the box office returns.
And you could argue that they may have learned their lesson from what happened with Snyder. But I think you make a really good point in that the difference is people were excited and inspired by this Superman, where there was more battles over Zack Snyder's approach. And because it was, I know people might get mad at me for saying this, but I think it was a more artistic approach. It was his approach to make him darker, explore what it would be like in this way. Now, there's not saying that James Gunn's isn't artistic. It's artistic in a different way. Yeah. Snyder was trying to make his as a much more, I don't know, just a grittier version of the DC universe. And it didn't click with a lot of people with Superman and with Man of Steel. And you're right, Shannon. The plan wasn't to make a cinematic universe. Now, he did have a plan to tell a story with the Justice League characters, but it wasn't necessary to make a universe. James is making a universe, and it's very clear, because he even said in the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, he said, I want to tell Elseworld stories, and I want to tell this. So he wants to be in control of all of it, so that all the characters that are coming out can exist in an Elseworlds, it can exist in the main timeline. But he has a grander vision than Snyder had. Snyder was trying to tell a Justice League story.
Yeah.
James is telling a much bigger story to revamp the entire franchise. We'll see what happens. Anything more to say on James Gunn? There's a couple of more DC news tidbits, but I just want to see if you guys have anything more to say about James Gunn before we move on from him.
Man, we're 40 minutes in. Let's go. Keep going.
Really? Crapola. Oh, I didn't know that. Jeez. All right. Jeez, that was quick. All right, so we had some news on the DC front. I don't have a picture for this, but Anna Nagura will now move from writing Supergirl and has been named the Wonder Woman writer, and she's apparently developing a Teen Titans movie as well. She is in charge of that as well. So what's going on here, Mike? Did James just find his right female writer and she's going to write all these female characters, or what's the deal here?
Look, they clearly love the Supergirl script.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps talking about how great this script is. Now, Tom King's run, as I keep saying every week that we talk about it, is great, and it's a great story. And you always adapt things and make them different for the movie. Lobo's not in the comic book, he's in the movie. But like, whatever she did, they feel like she nailed it to a point where they are giving her other female characters, because obviously Wonder Woman is the biggest one, but a big part of Teen Titans is Starfire and Raven. Like, we all love Dick Grayson, we all love Beast Boy, we all love Kid Flash, but like, those two are heavy hitters as far as fan appeal. Mm-hmm. And so they just clearly think they found someone who really locked in. And if they did, great.
Yeah. What about you, Shannon? Do you like this idea that Anna Nagura, they're using her to write? Clearly, she wrote a great Supergirl, and now they're moving her over to do a Wonder Woman. Did you want to see maybe another voice in there, or what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, it's difficult to say, having not seen anything from Supergirl, but all you can do is kind of take the word on the street at face value that that script turned out really well. Apparently they're very happy with the movie. They moved her on to another property right away in Teen Titans that is a lesser known property compared to, your four pillars of what you want your universe to be. And again, it's not an accident that the talk of Wonder Woman went from this Themyscira set prequel to suddenly the feature, and now the writer has been announced. So it seems like, again, fast track priority, whatever you want to say, it seems like the machine is kind of heating up here. So I mean, I think it's great when Gunn has a history of using, in terms of actors, he likes to use the same people again and again and again and again. He develops a shorthand with them, and if that is his same approach to writers as well, and potentially to directors, that is a good sign, because again, in terms of the Gunn stable of actors, there's no one that pops up that I see and like, screw this person. I mean, hopefully he's developing as deep a bench on the writing side as he is on the acting side.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's good. No, the other news that dropped today. Well, first of all, I like the idea. I mean, Anna Nagura, sure, if that Supergirl, just that little clip was enough to sell me on the movie. And then the poster came out was great. But now I'm curious. They must have seen something really great in this script to move her into Wonder Woman. Now I'm excited to see this one. But like, you have to say, her sensibilities from that scene are James Gunn's sensibilities. So although he said we're going to do different types of movies, it's clear that when you come into the Justice League, Superman kind of story, like, it's going to have this kind of sarcasm, fun, playful approach along with stakes and whatever. So it seems like,
I don't know. I mean, first of all, I would argue that the Supergirl at the end of that movie is 100% specifically ripped from the page of Tom King's comic.
Right, because she's drinking.
And also, the reason she's drinking, as many people who drink do, is pretty dark. I mean, Supergirl, without getting into too many spoilers of the comic book, it is a story that is basically, how far can you push someone who is good, and how many horrors can you expose them to before they break?
Right.
And Supergirl, as James Gunn has brought up in interviews, I think, and it's what the comic is, Superman didn't know what he lost on Krypton. He just landed on a planet and found out later. Right. Supergirl lived through it.
Right.
So I think it's still going to be funny. I think it's going to be a fun movie. But like, I do think it's dealing with some heavier stuff.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. I just mean like the energy is going to have it, but we'll see. Like Guardians dealt with heavier stuff.
That's true.
Amidst the joke stuff. So I think that's the energy that he seems to have found with Anna, and maybe why she keeps getting hired.
And also, you factor in Craig Gillespie. I mean, this is the director of I, Tonya. This is the director of Cruella. I mean, he has a certain sensibility that, I mean, I haven't read the Tom King run, but it certainly sounds like his ideas.
Borrow
I would, Johnny will stop there on the way. I'm gonna grab it. But his sensibilities sound like they line up to what this particular story is supposed to be.
Yeah. One more bit of news before we leave DC area. Naomi Ackie is apparently in talks to be the main female lead in the Clayface movie. Here, a Deadline, Variety, a bunch of people are reporting this. And of course, she would be alongside Tom Rhys-Harris, who was recently named as the lead on this. And this, of course, being written by Mike Flanagan and directed by James Watkins. There is another script rumored to be, or a script brush up, I guess you would say, coming in, or a rewrite there. But yeah, what do you think about this casting, Shannon, as our casting guru? Do you like Naomi Ackie? We saw her in Mickey 17. We've seen her in other things. I like her as an actress. I think it's an interesting choice. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, not knowing really what this movie is outside of an origin story for a Batman bad guy. Naomi Ackie's a terrific performer, so her being a co-lead or the secondary lead in a story, that's a solid choice. So again, without knowing who she's playing or what it is, just on face value, that's thumbs up.
Yeah, I forgot you played Whitney Houston in the recent biopic as well. Michael, your thoughts on this? You like her as a choice here?
I think, look, they think they've got a great script. James Gunn won't stop talking about it. They've got a strong cast going. And the thing they have going for them also is Clayface as a character is pretty malleable. There's a lot that they can do. Thank you. But no, there's not. When we talk about, I mean, like most of the fighting about Superman is people having very specific ideas of what Superman is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, there's a couple different versions of it. Just as with Batman, we're we're leaning more towards a Brave and the Bold, less than a Dark Knight. And there's these things. Clayface, can do a lot of stuff. And as long as he does his Clayface stuff, there's going to be less people that are like, that is not Clayface from the comics. There's a lot you can do. So I'm really curious to see where they go with all this.
Me too. And I like her. I mean, I like her as an actress. She delivers in no matter where you put her. In Blink Twice, the Zoe Kravitz film, much more serious horror type of movie. And then, Rise of Skywalker was what it was, but it wasn't her fault. I thought she was good in that for what she got to do. And then I liked her in Mickey 17 a lot. Her reacting to the things that he is going through is one of the highlights of the movie. So I'm encouraged by this, because you want a versatile actress like this to play off this young kid and see where we're going to go with this story. So yeah.
One of my favorite parts of Rise of Skywalker is the end of that movie where Lando sits down with her, and I was completely baffled as to what was going on. I was like, is he trying to have sex with her, or is that his daughter? And I can't tell the difference, and I don't know what's happening right now.
Have you ever played Sabak? I guess I don't know. Maybe it was a part of it. Who knows? All right, so let's move on out of the halls of DC and move into a little bit of a trailer stuff. Shannon, are you leading this, or am I just dropping this in here to see people's thoughts?
Take it away, dude.
All right, fine. Here we go. This is Comic-Con week. Yeah, a new trailer drop for Predator Badlands. We got much more of the story in here, and saw much more of the younger fighter here, the young Predator doing his thing. And we got much more with Elle Fanning as well, which I thought was really fun. What did you think of this trailer here, Michael? Did it do it for you? Did you like it? Did it get you excited to see this stuff? You're such a massive Predator fan yourself.
Listen, man, Predator and Alien fans, while DC people are over here fighting about Superman and Marvel people are fighting about whether or not Fantastic Four is going to get us back on track, Alien and Predator fans are quietly sitting on the sidelines just high-fiving each other because we've never fucking had it so good. It's great. First, Alien Romulus comes along, does a solid job. Yeah. Prey comes out on Hulu, nails it. Killer of Killers comes out, like blows everybody away with its animation and this amazing story. And now we got the second look at this, and it looks so good. Like it looks great. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think Elle Fanning really shines the most in this trailer. The fact that she's got no legs and is pulling a C-3PO from Empire Strikes Back for half the trailer. But like, this whole half of a synthetic from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation that ends up teaming up with this young predator, like just like Prey, it's almost such a simple idea. This young guy's gotta kill something. It's his first hunt. He ends up getting pulled in with this synthetic. It's a buddy cop. It's not a buddy, but it's like a buddy movie. So I think everything about the trailer looks great. And again, based on Prey and Killer Killers, I just feel like we're in really good hands. Like I'm not even worried about this movie being good. I'm so confident in it. And the other thing is the more that we're seeing of this, I was thinking about this, between Alien Romulus's core relationship is a girl and her kind of brother type character who is synthetic. And like that relationship of a person with a synthetic is kind of key to the Alien franchise. In every movie, whether they're good or evil, a synthetic person plays a very important role. And then, so we've got a synthetic and a girl in Alien Romulus. Alien Earth is focused with the main character who is Alien Earth is focused on somebody who is a synthetic. Pounding the table because I'm so excited. And now you've got this synthetic in Predator Badlands. It just really feels like everyone is building towards like they're doing this right. And we're just days away from them announcing an Alien versus Predator movie, or an alien is going to show up at the end of Badlands. And I'm not even going to be surprised. Like, I just think with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, I think she says at the end, I don't think we're the only ones hunting this thing. It just lines up really well with what we know of what Alien Earth is about. And I just feel like there's a bigger plan here. If there's not, it doesn't matter. All these movies look great on their own, but it's feeling like it's moving in the right direction.
Three things. Elle Fanning, that scene. Okay, well, enjoy your journey. Good luck on your journey then. That is just delivered perfectly. And just lets you know, like, this is going to be an enjoyable movie, right? And you're going to have some great back and forth. The Predator's name is Deck in the movie, and this synth, and what is going on here. And some people are already speculating that the apex predator is not necessarily the thing we're seeing in the trailer, that it's actually an alien, a xenomorph, and that it's leading to that, which could be really interesting. The other side of this is that we've seen, as you said, Mike, we've seen the synths be good. We've seen this in Bishop. We've seen the synths be bad, as we saw in Ash. So is she a synth that is training this predator so the Weyland-Yutani Corporation can use this predator? Does she turn out to be a bad guy? We don't know. So that adds even more mystery and intrigue to the situation. Plus, you got homie fighting the dude with the dreads near the end. What is that all about? So there was a lot here that we got exposed to us from the Deck side of things and from Elle Fanning's character. What did you think, Shannon, about this trailer?
I mean, based off of the teaser, this was a very unexpected follow-up, that you are getting a buddy cop dynamic with a predator and half of an android. And again, if you haven't watched the fantastic Hulu series, I mean, Elle Fanning is funny. Like, she's really, really funny. And this is a very unique dynamic to present to this world, and I think it might give us kind of one of the first things that are like we've never gotten it on the big screen is a conversation with one of the predators. Like, you see when she's saying like, you're not the predator, you're the prey, and you see there is a subtitled line where he responds to this statement. At least that's the way it is edited. So again, this is going to be it potentially has the scenario of getting a point of view from a predator. Like in the past, it's always, I got to go kill this thing. I got to go kill this thing.
Right.
Maybe we're going to find out why they do this. We're going to find out about like what led in this young predator's life to where he ended up on a planet trying to hunt this crazy prey. So, I mean, it's a really, really good trailer and very unexpected.
I mean, the loader at the end, That's Ripley right there. Yeah.
It really is funny because it is one of those, it's the catch-22 of very popular IPs, and it's what Marvel deals with and it's what DC deals with. It's the, how do I give audiences something that they've never seen before while still giving them something that they're expecting? And when you do it right, and like this trailer looks like it's doing it right. The giant loader comes in. I'm like, yeah, it's iconically, the loader is one of the coolest things about Alien. But I'm like, oh, not like that loader. That's some bullshit. Whereas like with Alien Romulus, where he kind of, you get the get away from her, the you bitch moment where you're like, that didn't land. You didn't do it right. So it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. No, don't disagree there. I also liked the visuals of this whole thing. Like it's, for the budget that they shot it on and the look that they're going for, Dan Trachtenberg, I mean, listen, I know everyone's Feige, Gunn and all this, but Trachtenberg quietly doing some really good work here on the Predator side of things, because we just got that animated film, which was a lot of fun. Prey is good. He's already got another film that he's working on within this franchise. And if this is going to line up with what Fede Alvarez is doing, as you said, Michael, at the beginning of this conversation, we could be eating really well for those of us who are fans of these franchises and have been a bit disillusioned with how these recent installments have gone from a few years ago. And we're much more excited at what we're seeing now and where it all could be leading us. So yeah, it's a good time. Anything more to say on the trailer? Anything more did you guys catch? Anything more that you were thinking? Like what do you think those are those human beings he's fighting, or are those all synths as well that are showing up there like Duke Nukem's to go take?
I think they're all the same, so I'm guessing.
Yeah, but it does seem like, again, I mean, I hadn't heard what you had said. Like, I do sort of constantly think that the giant creature they're showing us in the trailer is not the thing that ultimately he has to hunt. Right. But I hadn't even thought about the fact that they might go all the way in and go, no, he's hunting a xenomorph. Like he's hunting a queen. And if that is the case, now I'm saying that now I'm going to get all excited. And if it's not that, I'm going to be pissed. But either way, the idea that whatever he's hunting, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is also invested in, and maybe he can trust Elle Fanning, maybe he can't. Like, that's all really interesting. So that's a shade I hadn't thought of before, but I think it could be really cool.
I kind of like that idea. When I read it, I was like, ooh, that could be cool. Elle Fanning, you ain't got no legs. All right, anyway, let's move on from the trailer. Let's go into some Marvel stuff. Let's talk about some Marvel stuff. Kevin Feige has been making the rounds here and promoting Fantastic Four, which is out in theaters in a couple of days. I got a chance to see it last night. I had such a great time with the movie, but my review will be out a little bit later. And then, of course, the three of us will at some point do a review on the film as well, possibly combined with our Comic-Con show. We'll figure that out, of course, as it goes along. But Feige was talking to a number of outlets here about the situations going on with Marvel. He talked about how he's been looking at the 7-year plan on this thing. He talked about how they're going to not change the way they do films, but they're going to limit the amount. They're going to limit the budget. He even mentioned possibly using AI. He even got into stuff that was going on here with the Kang versus Doom, where he kind of retconned some of this stuff. And then also got into where they're going with Marvel in the future here, the MCU, what they want to create, what they want to do. So your thoughts on all this stuff? X-Men being young, Blade is apparently still in motion. They didn't just want to throw leather onto a dude and have him killing vampires, even though it seems like the base thing you should be doing with Blade. But this was a fascinating interview, but it felt a little bit of brand saving, like saying a lot, but not saying too much. What do you think, Shannon?
It was an unusual level of candor from him.
Okay.
Like especially in the Marvel book, the Reign of Marvel Studios, they talk about how Kevin Feige was very much don't air any dirty laundry in public in terms about the company. And the fact that he did say, like, we had however many hundred of hours of content from phase 4 into phase 6, and him saying that was too much. Like, the fact that he's sort of admitting fault, like the moment that we've been to Hall H and we sort of feel like what they're saying is, guys, we've heard you, we've made some adjustments. That's what we're taking from. He's never said that. The fact that he is acknowledging, like, yep, we went too far here. But also admitted, like, look, we got excited. Like, you're giving us this opportunity to do these other characters, and we went a little too far, too fast. Like especially like with the Victoria Alonso situation, like that was a big thing where she had talked about it in the press, and that was a big no for him. So the fact that he was sort of admitting that, also something that he had said was, and this is I think the writer extrapolating a little bit, that he ain't gonna be there forever.
Yes.
Like it sounds like, because he said he had like about 2 years left on his contract, and it's like, oh, okay, does he finish out the multiverse saga? Does he get X-Men set up, and does he take off? Which I think is a possibility. I mean, he's running into that kind of George Lucas area of you're screwing everything up, fire Feige. You what happened? Like you messed everything. You had this thing done so well, and now you're fired. You're terrible. Get him out of there. We need to change your leadership. Nobody can be on top forever. I mean, they had an unprecedented run of hits, and it sucks because we wanted those hits to keep going. Like he talked about like the homework thing, that it feels like people are starting to have to do homework to understand what's going on in the films. I think the fact of the matter is if that homework had been fun, it would have been okay. 100%. Because leading into like Infinity War and Endgame, there were a lot of folks, like the Marvel movies were very successful, but there were a lot of folks that saw the excitement, not just from the comic fan base, but from like the movie fan base. And people started catching up on those movies because they wanted to experience this sort of movement in the theater. And if everything had been just a home run after home run after home run, that's it, the homework would have been fun. And it wasn't. So I also thought it was interesting, and I know we'll talk more about this, but the idea of pivoting from Kang to Doom, that it seems there's a little bit of revisionist history going on prior to Ant-Man 3's release. And maybe I'm not remembering this correctly. I'll certainly put that out there. That Kang, they hadn't fully decided on Kang being the main antagonist for the multiverse saga until after Jonathan Majors' performance in Quantumania. So now he's saying, well, actually, before Ant-Man 3 even came out, we were talking about pivoting to Doom because, we hadn't had Doom available. And it's like, well, wait a second. That math ain't mathing right now. So, I do agree with you, Johnny. It's a bit of brand saving. Like he wants to put as good a face on this as possible because they want the audience to come back. But yeah, I mean, again, no one sits on top of the hill forever.
Yeah, I liken this, Michael, to like, and like you're dating somebody and then they get like super famous, and they kind of leave you to try new things, and then they want to come back and get together with you and go like, no, it'll be back like it was before. Like we're going to cut down the amount of stuff we're putting out. We're going to streamline stuff. We're getting rid of the multiverse. We're going to streamline one timeline, all these extra characters, Hercules, we'll see if we see him in 12 years. We're kicking it all out. We're coming back to what we did before. I promise. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. The Russos are coming back. We're going to do everything like it was before. Just trust us. What did you think of the interview? What did you think of the things he had to say about all these subjects here?
I mean, I look at it differently than other. Like, I do find it funny when people are like, "Well, he's not telling the truth. He's saying something like you had said. You said retcon. We have other friends who are on Twitter tweeting a whole lot about their thoughts on it.
Oh yes.
Look,
what you do?
I think that and I'll say what I said to them. I was like, he's doing what any studio does. When Bob Iger gets up and talks about Disney animation, or Kathleen Kennedy talks about Star Wars, or James Gunn gets up and just goes off on everything. Like everybody, none of them are just like shooting from the hip. Well, maybe James Gunn is, but no one else is shooting from the hip. Everyone else is like, the company and the PR team have been like, here's how we are messaging this stuff.
Yeah.
And this entire discussion is a PR discussion. They are trying to gear up, like the highlights are, they believe that the multiverse saga failed because of too much homework. I agree with Shannon 1,000% that people don't mind doing the homework if the homework is fun. Like it wasn't the homework, it was that the movies were bad. Like that is straight up what it was. Like people did not. What?
And the TV shows. Right.
And yeah, in general, like we went through a stretch, and look, he is right. The whole we did too much with the streaming wars. We were excited to do this stuff. We moved into TV, we did this stuff, and they expanded rapidly, and they did not have the infrastructure to do that. That's a true statement.
Right.
And they decided to just call that, like, they're all right, we might as well call it out. Everybody knows it, everybody says it. We should cop to this. But then this whole, well, the Marvels didn't work because they didn't know who Iman Vellani was, and they didn't know who Teyonah Parris was, and that's why it didn't work. I'm like, no, the Marvels isn't a great. I think the Marvels is fun. I actually enjoy it, but it's not a great movie.
Right.
So like that is the whole, like they are not going to admit that they made some real stinkers, and that's why the multiverse saga didn't work. So they're going to lean on the homework thing. Same with this Kang business. The idea that Kang could not be a Thanos level threat is just dumb to anyone who's read the comic books.
Yes.
B, yeah, you know what? If you are already thinking about Doom, you probably don't name one of your movies the Kang Dynasty. Just saying. You might like put a pin in that one. So that whole idea is a little bit silly, and that is definitely them being like, no, this is how it is. But again, I get it. They're trying to get people excited. And the big thing that is different than, your analogy about the coming back together with your ex is, they are driving hard this idea that you no longer have to do homework. They have convinced themselves that that's what the issue is. So like he literally refers to Fantastic Four as a homework-free movie. It's in its own universe. They don't know anybody. You don't have to know anybody. You can just go in and have fun. And then after Secret Wars, we're doing this reset. It's not a reboot. It's a reset. So we're keeping what we want, but we're going to have some younger characters. And again, that makes sense to anyone who's read Secret Wars. But so the whole tone of the interview was, they were like, we need to get in front of this, and we need people, like, they think that they've got a good movie with Fantastic Four. We're all going to see how it performs this weekend. But like, they're really using this as their moment to go, hey guys, you don't have to do homework anymore. We heard you. It's fun. Everything was always part of the plan. It's all cool. There's no smoke here. Don't worry. There's nothing to see here. And we'll see if it works for them.
Yeah, what struck to me about the interview, and I'm sure you're right, Mike. You've been in these executive rooms and boardrooms and stuff but it felt to me like he was certainly brand saying, as I said, but it also felt like he was almost acting like he was a YouTuber commenting on his own damn universe. It was a little weird, like this distance from it. Like you said, he's trying to say, oh, we did too much. And I've already seen people online worshiping at the altar of Kevin Feige who are like, they demanded it of him. He didn't have time to be on Everest. And it's like, yeah, but you're still the one picking the team. You're picking the people who are doing all of this stuff. So like, you have to take some responsibility. It wasn't just the quantity, as Shannon alluded to. I said this over the weekend as well. It was the quality. If people wanted to come coming back, then it wouldn't have mattered. It would have made Kevin Feige even greater if he had been able to ride through this quote unquote tough time where he's having all these demands on him. And he had nailed it with every TV show, hiring the right creative, them delivering great episodes, all of that. But that didn't happen. And I think what he's not talking about is they have never been able to replace RDJ or Chris Evans. They just have not been able to do that. There is no person that excites them. Look, Tom Holland comes close, but Tom Holland's about to be done with this thing. And no one they have, and Chadwick and someone said this, I think on Twitter, like they have never recovered from the death of Chadwick. And I think that's 100% correct. Like he was the guy they were lining up.
Yes, I think that is true.
Right? He transcended everything. Like black man, don't give a shit. We love him. He's mass loved. We want to see more with him. Right. And so he was like that rare air where he walks in that place and he had that energy, and they have never found anyone to fill that void. But no matter all the people they've cast. Yeah,
but I think that's not, but I disagree with that.
Okay.
Like this is where I think they've really squandered shit.
Okay.
Arguably, if you had built the story around it, Benedict Cumberbatch or God, why am I having freaking
Chris Pratt?
No, not Chris Pratt.
What?
Paul Rudd.
Okay.
Paul Rudd. Like there are characters that had you really put them in the forefront of in this post-Endgame world without a Tony or a Cap, what do I do? And they'd stepped up. Had the story leaned into it, you have cast some of the most charming people in the world. The biggest one that they squandered 100% is the one character that was beloved as much as Chris Evans or RDJ, and we were all on board, is fucking Wanda.
Yeah, you could argue
Scarlet Witch is gold. She's gold in the comics. She was gold in the movies. And her and Vision we were obsessed with. And then they put her in Multiverse of Madness and let Sam Raimi do what he does and then dropped a mountain on her. And
100%.
even with the mountain, we're still like, but Wanda's coming back, right? We get more Wanda. You know, and look, I love No Way Home, so it's not that I don't question any of the decisions they made, but what they did with Spider-Man kind of robs him from being able to step into that. Like, nobody knows who he is now. So that's a story point that I think is cool, and it was a good end for that movie. But again, had you ended that movie with Peter had to step up, we wouldn't have gotten what we're getting, which is a ground level Spider-Man that is a Spider-Man from the comics, which I'm excited about. But there are multiple people in the MCU. Even look, Shang-Chi maybe could have been. We don't know. But we don't know because he's been in one movie and he never showed up again. Like, if you had thrown this guy who had never done anything like this in his life into, hey, Tony and Cap aren't here. You've got these 10 rings. We really need you to step up and be a big hero. And he had been struggling. That dude is charming as fuck. So this idea that they never found the person, I think given their story choices, they robbed themselves of the ability to have that person.
Agreed. So I just looked it up. In terms of main characters, main leading characters, no one has appeared in more than one movie. Wong has. Wong was in Shang-Chi, and he popped up in Doctor Strange, and he was in She-Hulk. Wong is the only character who has appeared in more than one film. Now, a bunch of characters have appeared in a Disney Plus series and a film, but they never people don't know each other right now. And that's going to be an interesting challenge for Doomsday to have, unless we just kind of hit the ground running and Sam's team is already recruited.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I push back on your point on this, Mike, and Shannon's a good context you just provided there. But I say you're right on the Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany thing. I think those two combined could have been new, interesting leaders of the Avengers, almost like a mom and pop type of situation.
It's a mom and pop superhero shop.
Exactly. They could have been fascinating to see as a replacement for Tony and Cap, who were essentially the mom and pop of that Avengers crew. So you could have seen that, but I don't think Cumberbatch. I think those guys aren't main leads, and like I said, are big main leads in my opinion. I just don't think they could have. But I do agree, Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany. There was something magic about their chemistry that would have carried us into a new place if they had figured out how to write that and make it work instead of dropping.
Here's what carried us in, and this is the key. I mean, you really want to get into it, of the difference between the Infinity Saga and the Multiverse Saga when we talk about doing homework.
Yeah.
The homework of the Infinity Saga was Tony and Cap don't like each other.
Right.
The Black Widow and the Hulk kind of came together in Avengers, and then they had a romance, and then the Hulk left. Like, Thor is a god. He has brother issues. Him and his brother don't get along, but ultimately there's a sacrifice. The thing that's the common thread throughout, and then Cap and Tony come together, but then Civil War breaks them apart because Cap will do anything to save Bucky. Every single one of these things is a character arc. It is an emotional connection between two characters. Even Peter Parker wants to be like Tony Stark and looks up to him, and is kind of like, every single one of these things is an emotional relationship between characters. Yeah. The Multiverse Saga, because nobody shows up in any more than one movie, is there is a bunch of multiverses and anything can happen, and they're all twisted together, and there's a TVA, and the TVA makes sure that they prune the timelines, but then they change their mind and stop pruning the timeline, and now they're maintaining the timeline. That is all a bunch of gobbledygook, and there's not a single emotional character thread throughout any of it. Loki is completely separated from Thor.
Right.
Peter Parker is separated from everybody. Doctor Strange is running around with someone that we met in a post-credit sequence.
Right, Clea. Right.
You know, like, nobody has any kind of, I'm dealing with this attachment. The reason that Wanda and Vision stand out is because we watched them fall in love with each other.
Yeah.
They were taken away from each other, and Wanda had to deal with that. And the reason that Agatha All Along works well is because the entire thing is about Billy and Wanda and Agatha and Wanda. Like, it's the one place where we've gotten any level of an emotional through line.
Right.
And another character, because this was one that I left out, another character that they kind of squandered the potential was Florence Pugh. Like, she was a supporting character in Black Widow. She was in the first movie of the multiverse saga, and we don't see her again until the end of Phase 5. At that point, people have kind of forgotten.
We do see her in Hawkeye,
no,
and actually,
I'm talking about the movies though. But even in Hawkeye, she's supporting.
Right,
like, she's supporting.
It's never her story.
But the reason that I actually didn't think about this, but you're right. But the same thing falls. The only one of the reasons that she's one of the only ones that we all care about is because she had her relationship with Natasha. That relationship led her to doing the things that she did. Hawkeye was her wanting to kill Clint because she blamed him for Natasha's death. Yeah. And Thunderbolt is about her sort of like becoming a hero. Like, she has, even though her relationship is with her dead sister and then her dad, there's at least a through line that we can be interested in. Like, that's where Thunderbolts works, is because it's the one place where they picked up some emotional through lines and not just a bunch of multiverse science mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. What about this? This is a recent, I think last day or so, he addressed the idea of recasting these characters, right? Amy Pascal, he said, this is what his quote was: Amy Pascal and David Heyman are now searching for a new James Bond. David Cornsweet's the new Superman. He was awesome. That will always be the case. I think it's hard for anybody to do that when an actor has done such a great role. How are they ever going to replace Sean Connery as James Bond, right? So it was his cheeky way of answering the question, of basically saying, if they want to reset and recast an Iron Man, recast a Captain America, he is opening the door to that possibility. So is it too soon? I mean, it's been 20 years since this franchise was put together, but of course, it's only been a few years since they died or found their piece in their timeline. Do you think it's possible that the way they're resetting this is that they're going to recast and get a new Iron Man, a new Captain America, is this part of the Secret Wars kind of end result or offshoot? What do you guys think about this?
You know, the idea that they are going to be recasting X-Men, that we are going to get our MCU younger cast X-Men, I don't feel like that's a 1-for-1 with getting a new Iron Man and a new Cap.
Okay.
Just because Iron Man and Cap, they are what started the MCU, and you have so much character potential with the mutants incoming, with the Fantastic Four. There's so much on the table right now. I'm like, you don't need to go back to those guys yet. I mean, will you at some point? Sure. If the universe, the reset universe, Tony didn't exist, Steve didn't exist, that's something you can revisit down the line. Absolutely. But you have so much you're already working with. Why go back to the well for something that is not a guarantee that you're going to nail it again? I mean, it is no guarantee that whoever you cast as the next Tony Stark is going to be Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, that level. What do you think about this, Michael? Do you think we're looking at, was he opening the door to the possibility here and get people prepared for it a little bit ahead of time?
I can't tell. Like, we all know they're going to do a whole new cast of X-Men.
Yes.
But like, we've never had the X-Men in this universe. So I'm like, okay, I get that. He's not wrong that they do have to do it at some point. The difference in the examples, I mean, look, we know, okay, James Gunn kept Peacemaker. He's keeping Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. He's keeping parts of his universe and doing it, but doing a whole scale reset and being like, are we saying that we're just recasting a Cap and Tony, but they're already members of the Avengers?
Right.
Or are we going to have to tell their stories again? And like, whatever. The problem is, you either reset at all, or you like, they're running a risk of like, now I'm more confused. Like, what you don't want, like, I think geeks will handle it and whatever, like, we'll understand and whatever. But if you're like, so wait, I'm going to see this movie with these new X-Men, but why is Kieran Culkin Tony Stark? Did something happen? Like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. Like, oh, well, it's a reset of the universe. So he is the same Tony Stark, and he did all the things that the other Tony Stark did, but now he's younger. Well, I'm confused. Like, you just run into what are you really doing? So they run the risk of doing something that's just going to be weird unless it's like a across the board reset. Like, there's probably ways to do it. Like, if you have at the end of Secret Wars, after the multiverse has collapsed, you sort of have this moment where they've rebuilt the multiverse, or they've rebuilt the universe. It now exists again. And the Fantastic Four are standing on top of the Baxter Building, which now exists in our world. And they look out, and all of a sudden Iron Man flies by and waves at them, and Spider-Man swings down the street. And then all of a sudden you see Cyclops, and you're like, oh shit. Like, there's a way that they do that we're all like, I don't care how they did it. This is fucking awesome. I'm in. But it's a tough needle to thread.
Okay, then so real quick, do you buy the Miles Morales thing? Do you buy that they can't touch it until Spider-Verse is over, the animated stuff? Do you think he's just saying that to kind of get people to think he's not coming in at Secret Wars? Because I think Secret Wars will come out after Spider-Verse. So do you think that's true? He's going to wait till after, or do you think it'll appear like after Secret Wars even? What do you guys think?
I think Sony is holding on to Miles until they're done. Until they're done with Spider-Verse.
I think right now Sony is like licking their spider wounds on the live action side.
Sure.
But the one thing that they have undeniably done 100% right is Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And I think that they are being real stingy, because even though they've said we're out of the Spider game, we're not doing these things anymore, we're not doing these in the Spider-Man universe movies, I think they do know that if the third Spider-Verse movie comes out and does as well as the first two, and they announced that they were doing a live action Miles Morales movie, it's like the one thing that they can do that we would all be excited about.
Right. Fair point. Okay, last thing on this. A report came out about 4 or 5 hours ago claiming that Eric Pearson will be writing the Blade movie now. He recently wrote Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four First Steps. He worked on those two projects, so he is officially attached as the latest writer for Blade. And of course, he talked about Blade and said that we didn't want to simply put a leather outfit on Ali and have him start killing vampires. It had to be unique, and it felt like the right time when we started pulling back and saying only accept insanely great, which I think is ridiculous. And it wasn't insanely great at the time. And we didn't feel like, as we often do, we can start a good script. So essentially they've said they've got themselves a script. Now they said, now they've announced that Eric Pearson will be the writer, and it's modern day. So does this now get you a little more excited that Blade is going to happen? Michael, what do you think?
Man, this is just put it on the pile with all the Star Wars movies we're waiting for. I'll believe it when I see it. I think the one thing that's interesting is I do think that, Kevin Feige was like, oh, there were some versions that were period pieces. I think they were really excited about a period piece for Blade until they realized that if you do a period piece with a black man, you have to deal with a bunch of shit that they didn't want to deal with. It's like what I realized. That is 100% what I think. I think a period piece Blade movie sounds like the best idea. It's super interesting. We haven't seen it before. And they're like, fuck. We don't want to do this. And so that's why Blade is modern day. I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
Look, we'll see, man. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why they can't crack it. We'll see.
I think I'm more confident than ever that's going to happen now, because Eric Pearson clearly is their flavor of the money. He's their Anna Nagura on this side of the fence. And I think they feel confident. And this guy's delivered. Thunderbolt's a good movie, whether it made all the money in the box office or not. It's good. I've seen Fantastic Four First Steps. I enjoyed the script here. So Shannon, what do you think? Does this feel like maybe they finally turned the corner on this and we're going to get it? Now it's in motion?
I think the fact that they're using someone that they have worked with multiple times in the past is a good sign, but it is in no way an indication that movie is going to happen.
Fair point.
I do think, I know we're running long and we talked a lot about this, but the other thing that Kevin Feige talked about and James Gunn talks a lot about, and I do think it's an interesting discussion point, is Kevin Feige's insistence that he thinks changing scripts as you go is part of Marvel's success strategy. And James Gunn's insistence that he is not going to make a movie until the script is perfect.
Yeah.
And you have these two, as much as everybody talks about how they play nice, it's like, this is where you see, like, I think it irks Kevin Feige that James Gunn is running around after working at Marvel being like, we're not doing what Marvel does. We're finishing scripts so they're good.
Right.
And I think Kevin Feige coming out and being like, this is part of our process because scripts might be great, but you can always make them greater. And I love hearing from the actors, and I love hearing from the director, and I love hearing from everybody. And I do think both of them are so extreme that they're both wrong. Like, it's just a little bit of, I think that James Gunn is not going to be able to continue to build a universe as things start to interconnect. He is going to run into the Kevin Feige problem, which is this script might not be perfect, but this Batman movie 100% has to come out before we do our Justice League movie. So are we going to hold up everything, or are you going to start shooting? And meanwhile, Kevin Feige can talk about collaboration all he wants, but his whole method of doing stuff literally destroys visual effects studios.
Yeah.
So it's like you look at both of these people kind of like sitting in their corners with their "this is my strategy," and you're like, I think you both need to be a little bit more malleable, like Clayface.
Yeah, Shannon, your thoughts on it. Michael brings up an excellent point, and I do think this idea, like, this is why you play with words, right? And this is what you call political speak, like. Well, we've never gone into a movie without a finished script. Yeah, you could argue that the first draft is technically a finished script.
Yes, we had words on enough pages that we could start shooting, but we all knew those words were bad.
It's pretty clear the third act of Doomsday is still not fucking finished. So it's just nonsense to me. All right, what'd you think of this, Shannon?
As Vogel already said, they're both extreme examples. I think one probably yields a little more success in that perfect is the enemy of good. Like that is a tried and true statement, especially with writing. Like a lot of times, like I just have to get this done, and once it's done, then I can go in and rework things. In the past, when they say, oh, we're still working on some things, in the past, it did not mean that giant action sequences were going to be taken out and reshot. It used to be the thing that connects this to this, we're a little unsure. The thing that connects this to this, we're a little unsure. Inside the action sequence, is there a better way to do it? But when you watch Captain America: Brave New World, man, like they probably could have taken a lesson from the Gunn school of thought. And as Vogel already said, the further the DC universe opens up, they are probably going to have to take a page out of the Marvel playbook as well.
Yeah.
I just think there's no one way to do it. And
exactly.
It's all case by case basis. Like you could go in with a great script, shoot the movie, and it's dog shit. And you can go in with a half written script or issues with certain big action set pieces, and then figure it out as you go along, get lucky, and then boom, it comes out. It's a great movie. David Milch, one of my favorite writers ever, NYPD Blue and Deadwood. By the end of Deadwood, he was driving some of the actors crazy because he was literally laying on set, coming up with scenes that they were shooting that day. And it turned out to be one of the most classic series ever. So you just never know. It's all case dependent. So planting a flag in the ground as somehow you're artistically better because you do it this way is utter nonsense. It's just I think it's to satisfy people who don't do this or have no knowledge of this in real life, because you just never know what's going to work.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to do it is true. And also sometimes genius comes at a price. Like there are a lot of productions that go super smoothly, and we don't talk about those movies because they were super fucking boring.
That's true.
And then there's movies that were nightmares to make. And like you said, and you're writing scenes on the fly, and they become one of the most beloved movies of all time. So there's lots of different ways to do it. And that's where I do think both Feige and Gunn sort of sticking to this is our strategy. I'm like, well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's exactly. That's the theme of this particular episode. We will see. We'll see.
It's literally the Larry David gift from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Okay.
All right, well, there you go. This is yet another one of our supersized episodes here. Just having fun talking about stuff going on in Marvel and DC and Predator Badlands. We hope we didn't bore you. We hope we entertained you, gave you some new things to consider and think about. Of course, we always love to hear from you. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at geek_buddies, on Instagram at _geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says. Also, if you're going to Comic-Con, if you see us, please come say hi. We'd love to have a little chat. And also, the Geek Buddies were guests on a new podcast. Called the Tuesday Morning Screening Room. Our buddy Ethem DeMarco, who's another animation writer, he has started a podcast where he's bringing on some of his favorite people. One episode is us, just to talk about a variety of film topics. And because it is Comic-Con week and Fantastic Four is coming out, the four of us chat about the big screen adventures of the Fantastic Four up until now. So if you would like to go and have a listen at a very lengthy conversation, you can find the Tuesday Morning Screening Room on all your podcast sites.
And we don't talk about the current Fantastic Four, so there's no spoiler talk on that. So you can listen to it and hear our thoughts on the previous movies for sure. Michael, what do we have to tell them here?
Those golden gems that existed prior to now. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. It definitely got me amped for Comic-Con, so I'm about to go pack my bags and then wait for Shannon and Kalinowski to get here with some bags, some donuts, and 15 cases of Diet Coke to drive down to San Diego. But what you can do in the meantime is smash that like button below, subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page, soon to be the John Rocha page.
Yes.
Soon to be the... All right, good. So check out all the amazing content he has got there. Leave your comments below. We got DC, we got Marvel, and a little sprinkle of Predator. What did you think? Let us know in the comments. If you're listening to us on a podcast, leave us some stars and comments so we go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go, everybody. Take care. Be well. And we'll, of course, let you know when we're going to come back together and do our post-Comic-Con conversation and talk about all the things that were revealed there this week. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the
Geek
Buddies.